Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our little homestead. My name is Stephanie, and with the crummy weather that we are having outside, we are spending today in the kitchen. One of the first steps that anyone out there can take towards being more self-sufficient is to make everything that you can with the ingredients that you have right in your cupboard. So today I'm going to show you a really easy recipe to make your own pie crust. And we're going to take this down from a $3.50 to $4 recipe if you go and buy it in the store to only around $1 and change or so to make it from the ingredients that you have in your cupboard. Today, when you watch this recipe, we are using a food processor. If you don't have access to one, you can absolutely use your standard whisk and a pastry cutter. It'll just take a little bit more time. But let's jump right in, and I'm going to show you how to make this delicious and easy recipe. First things first is in our food processor or in a bowl with a standard whisk, we are going to combine 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, add 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I've done is I've taken 2 sticks, which is about 8 ounces or 1 cup of butter, very, very cold and hard out of the fridge, and cut it up into about 1/2 inch size squares or so, just so it's nice and pre-chopped. And I'm going to add about half of this at a time into the food processor. And we're just going to pulse this a couple of times. Now we'll add the rest of the butter and pulse it another couple times or so. And we're not mixing the butter in, we're just getting the butter broken up into nice small pieces. Now, as I said before, if you do not have a food processor to be able to do this, you can use what's called a pastry cutter. I have one right here to show you what it looks like. And if you've never used one, you would just do an up and down rolling motion all through this over and over and over again until it was nice and broken up. And now we are going to sprinkle over a 1/4 cup of ice water. Now you don't actually want chunks of ice in this, you just want it at that temperature. Just gonna lightly bring it around the whole thing. And then once again, we'll give this a couple of pulses. Okay, now adding a tablespoon of ice water at a time. We're gonna keep pulsing this and adding water until it gets to a nice consistency where it's not like a dough yet, but it's starting to stick together. So don't rush this and add too much water at a time, because if you do, you're gonna end up with not the right consistency and you're not gonna have a flaky crust. Okay, now you can see here that that's actually starting to stick together. It kind of looks like a feta cheese, so now we have the right consistency. Now we have dumped our mixture onto a nice dry and clean surface, and we're going to separate this into 2 piles, 2 equal piles, because this will be enough to make a 10-inch pie and a cover for it, or you can make 2 10-inch pies that don't have tops on them. And all we're going to do is we're going to take each individual pile and we're going to start kneading it together. Now you don't want to over knead, because if you over knead, your pie crust is going to become tough, and we don't want that in pie crust. We want a nice flaky crust. And this is actually coming together really easily. You're just going to knead each one together. And then we're going to put it into a nice thick little patty here, kind of like a big hamburger. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. Okay, now that we have our 2 hamburger patties of dough here, we're going to take each one and we're going to wrap it nice and tight. And Now we're gonna take these and we're gonna stick them in the fridge for at least 1 hour. If you're putting off whatever you're making and you're preparing this ahead of time, you can leave this in the fridge for up to 2 days without ruining its consistency. Okay, so we have let this sit in the fridge for at least an hour. Then we pulled it back out of the fridge, we unwrapped it, and we've let this sit out for about 10 to 15 minutes until it's warmed up and gone to more of a room temperature, which will make it workable. And now we're gonna take our rolling pin and we're just gonna start working this out. You can always put down a little bit of flour if you need to. We're just gonna work it out into the shape that we want it for the pie that we're gonna make. And don't forget, especially when you're making the tops of your pie, to go ahead and be nice and creative. Well, that was pretty easy, right guys? And we got to save a little bit of money, spend some time in the kitchen, and eat some yummy food from scratch, which is always better. So if you guys are ever looking for more tips and tricks on everything outdoors and do it yourself, make sure to subscribe to our channel because we are always sharing what we're doing. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. It helps me out so much and I really appreciate it. Otherwise, leave any comments or questions below. I love to hear from you guys. Thank you all for your support. Enjoy the rest of your day. I love you. God bless and bye-bye.